our world women's champion, has not had a lot of opportunities before this feud with Abadon to get on the mic and show what she's capable of. We've seen more character work out of her with this feud with Abadon. Her facial expressions, her acting has been far more on display throughout this feud with Abadon than really any other feud that she's been in. She's, for the first time, our fighting champion is put in situations where we really feel like she's in danger.
Right.
And she's put in a spot where I think she's thrown off her game. Shida really prides herself on being a calm, collected warrior. She's got that mentality of a warrior. And so she goes into battle and you never really see her rattled. But for the first time, I think that the big, nasty, creepy Abadon has her kind of off her game.
Yeah, I definitely can see that. I was hoping to see another promo out of Shida to get some experience and some mic work, but then got quickly interrupted by Abadon. This match is going to be an interesting one. It's an okay one for the women's division right now, but as you know, we are ready for bigger and better things of the women's division. But it has its place for it right now. The match with Shida and Alex Gracia, it had some sloppy parts. Not knowing her competitor other than, seeing on Dark, the commentator team did a really good job with putting her over and giving a little bit of background story. It wasn't just your, 101 textbook squash. And so they did a great job with that to kind of make it a little bit more meaningful. It was a pretty sloppy match, in my opinion, with, the creepy Abadon kind of lurking around. But the bigger story was before and after the match. The match itself to me was a delete.
Yeah.
It had sloppy parts. It was really, I would have been happy if they just did a promo fight kind of thing and just skip the match right now. But that's just me. Abadon is such a creepy person.
Yeah. It's not just you.
It's such a creepy person, and and when she bit Shida too, that is just really kind of like establishing her. Like, what is she going to turn into? Is she going to turn into a creep too now? What is she going to come to the dark side?
Oh, Walking Dead.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I don't know. The segment, like you said, after the Dustin Rhodes Evil Uno, it was just kind of, it lost a little bit of steam for me. You kind of need to bring it back in. Obviously we'll talk about the main event, but it lost some steam for me, and it kind of withdrew my interest in this match.
Yeah. I this match gets a delete out of me as well, SPD. As mentioned in the Dustin Rhodes versus Evil Uno recap, for me, that was sort of the tipping point of the show. The show started off incredibly hot, and there was a lot going on. And I was geeked about this show. I thought this was going to be one of those banger shows that just top to bottom, I wouldn't give any deletes, but
right.
They snuck this match in there, and unfortunately it does get the delete. It really broke an upward trajectory for the way the show was going. And it's unfortunate because, I want to give Shida her just due. She's been a fighting champion. I think that she's put on a lot of great overall performances in the ring. She's shown that Shida is a workhorse. She's reliable. She's somebody that you can certainly build a division around, but I don't think that she is capable of carrying a division like what we talked about with MJF or I've talked about with Britt Baker. I think that unfortunately Shida, and it's not necessarily her fault,
right?
But the way she's been presented to this point, it's been more of a Warriors focus in the ring without much personality to get us fans to be engaged into her story and what's going on. There's not a lot of gravity to the situation. And obviously with Abadon coming in, it does help that a little bit. It does, it puts our champion in peril. That helps, but I don't see this being one of those feud that leaps off the page. It doesn't,
right.
To me, it's not one of those back and forth matchups that I can't wait to see what's going to happen next week. Like Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker, that to me is the marquee feud of the women's division, although it does not have the women's championship associated with it. You and I both agree whoever comes out on top of that feud should be the next in line for the title, and quite honestly should win the title.
Yep.
I think it's going to be Britt Baker. and Britt Baker against Shida has been a matchup. Shida has fought pretty much everybody on the roster. She has not gone head to head with Britt Baker in a way for the title that
True.
I think that Britt Baker versus Shida, especially as Baker continues to get better, if Baker can somehow come out on top against Thunder, that will be a compelling matchup. For me, Abadon is one of those characters that less is more. The more I see of her on screen, unfortunately, the less engaged I am in on her character. I think that she's a bit one note. She does it very, very well. She's very creepy, and she does the creepy thing. She does the creepy thing well, but she's a little bit one note for me. And from what I've seen, as far as in the ring, I worry about her getting exposed a little bit as being more of a strong character without the substance to back it up. So I am worried a little bit about the way that feud can go. The match itself tonight, Shida got a convincing win against somebody who's just got a win last night against on Dark. So I get that. I get why it was placed on the show, but I think that it was unnecessary for the big picture. I think that Shida's already been established and then some as a fighting worthy champion. So that was not needed. And it slowed the pacing of the show down. It kind of bogged it down a little bit. The takeaways of this match, you and I are talking about Abadon versus Shida throughout this whole segment. It really wasn't about the match itself. It was about the storyline going on around it. And I think that they would have been well served and just kind of maybe even just having Shida get attacked backstage by Abadon and have the bite happen there, right? Something like that happen. The bite was, I gotta say, it's been done on WWE television before, and I felt like even though I like Shayna Baszler as a performer, I thought that this was better executed than what we saw between Shayna Baszler and Becky Lynch. I felt like the bite felt more realistic. They didn't overexpose this corny fake blood.
Yeah.
I think they did a really good job of kind of just highlighting like, wow, this girl is nuts. And and they broke away from it just in time. So